By overwhelmingly popular request, Mango Habanero Capsicumel Mead. And the correct pronunciation is habanero. I looked it up. However, I'm going to say habanero about 5 million times and probably correct myself, just so you're aware. Because that's how I've said it my whole life, not realizing that it's actually, yeah. But anyway, there's no tilde, so it's habanero. Anyway, really simple. Today's video is going to be the start of this. So we're going to start with the capsicumel portion of the show. And for that, I have a habanero. Now, why am I using just one? Well, because I wanted to. I've done this with more before and didn't find it as enjoyable. You may use whatever kind of chilies you like. You may use as many as you like.
But this is way more than just a capsicumel. There's going to be mango added later, so we wanted to make sure we got the essence of the habanero. And still saved room for mango.
Right. The other reason to put the habanero into the primary part of the fermentation is it is a pretty decent nutrient for yeast. Capsaicin is like candy for yeast. I don't know why, but it is. If somebody knows the actual chemical reason why, let me know in the comments below. But I just know it works. So what I'm going to do is the new system that we've been trying out as of today, where I make the mix in the pitcher and then pour it into the fermenter. Why? It makes pouring honey a lot easier, and it makes mixing a lot easier, and it lets me add stuff to it very easily, as well as take readings easier. So overall, it's easier.
You might think so, but you have to think ahead in order to do it this way. You have to have the right amount of water already in your pitcher.
Or less than you think.
Per ratio of what you're going to add to it. Otherwise, you're going to have way too much to go into here.
Right. Today we are going to be using Sweet Squeeze Wildflower Honey, and I'm not sure exactly how much we're going to be using yet because I have 2 containers with about that much in the bottom of them, and I just want to use those up. So while it may seem that this is a completely chaotic and random thing, how many of you at home probably do it this way on a regular basis, and that's okay. I want to have at least 2 pounds in here, and I know I have about that much.
We also wanted to start off with a neutralish honey so that way the essence of our additives can really shine.
Exactly. Okay, so we put this into turbos in hot water, and as you can see, even warmed up, this honey is fairly well crystallized. Not to worry, we have ways of dealing with that. What I'm going to do is get our funnel and not spread water all over the place. By the way, that's sanitizer liquid, not just water, because everything that you see here has been sanitized in
the red bucket of sanitization.
And I'm just going to pour some water into this container. This is warmish water, like 100 to 110 degrees Fahrenheit or so.
The only problem with this technique is now we will not know how much honey we're actually adding.
Oh well. Do I look worried? Here's a rule. When I look worried, you can get worried. I used to say that to all my brides when I was wedding photographer. Although I used nervous, not worried.
Did you know where on your jug you
started?
Yeah,
96.
Okay.
And I'm just doing this to break up that honey at the bottom, hopefully. It really is honey, I swear. Wow, this is strong stuff. This may take a while. See you in a little bit. All right, I shook it up. It took a bit. Looks like milk. And honey. And there's still chunks in there. Get out! All right.
All right, so you want some of this?
Here we go again.
There you go.
I'll just use this. This is called Waste Not, Want Not. Get it all out. There's like a big chunk in there.
Smells really good.
Oh, yeah. This is a good quality honey. We actually really like this stuff. It's a Florida local honey. You can get it on Amazon. We have links in the description. Doesn't normally crystallize unless you let it sit for like a year, which this did. Because I like to use like a whole container when we're doing a video so that I can show you, oh yeah, there's a whole container. So we have all these ones with like this much in the bottom of them. See if it'll come out.
Nope.
I'm just going to keep doing it. Persistence pays off. Although there's a fine line between persistence and insanity. Because, persistence just means you keep doing something. Well, insanity means that you keep doing something over and over again expecting a different result. Well, I'm just going to put the lid on and give it a really, really good shake.
Shake the bejesus out of it.
If that didn't break it up, nothing. All right. This is just the first bottle, folks. There is another one still. Oh, yeah, that worked. On to number 2. This one's a little bit looser, but you know what? I'm just going to do the same thing. Because why not, right? It worked the first time. After a while. Have I mentioned how much I like this pitcher? For times like this is like my savior. It's just wonderful. But look at the amount of oxygenation we're getting here, which in the beginning is a good thing. Okay, there's no more bejesus left in that bottle, hopefully. So we're just going to pour that right in. This was 12 pounds, and that is a gallon of honey. So it's, 12 pounds to a gallon. All right, so this is sort of just winging it here. But I didn't actually take note of exactly where the water level was. I thought it was 96, but that would mean I only put 15 ounces of honey in here by weight. And I know that was more than 15 ounces of honey. So what I want to do is take a reading on this must right now, knowing it's not a full gallon yet, but it's pretty close. So I can get a rough idea, approximately, of where we are.
This is the perils of being a home brewer and an educator. Because not only do we have to make something that's good for us, but we have to do it in a fashion that we can explain what we're doing to you.
So I'm doing everything wrong and trying to explain how to fix it.
Yeah. We'll go with that.
And you might think I'm doing it on purpose. I was reading this wrong. I saw 1.190 and then went, wait a minute, my hydrometer doesn't go that high. Because it's not 1.190. It's actually 1.092. I'm good with that. That means we have about 2 to 2.5 pounds of honey, roughly, in this. Now, it's going to go a little bit lower when I dilute this down a little bit with water. I'm okay with that. That's perfectly fine. Nothing to worry about.
But we're going to take a final reading once we get there. We were just doing this preliminary reading to make sure we had enough honey. Yeah,
otherwise I'd have to add like another pound of honey or something like that. We don't actually need the scale any longer. Or we didn't at all because of the way I did things. Welcome to the chaotic world that is my brain sometimes. I wanted to just do things a little bit different and maybe a little less methodical, a little less by the book, just to show you guys that, you don't have to be perfect. It's more like we're just teaching you the basic methods of making things. How you actually do it is kind of up to you. There's good and bad ideas, and there's experimental things that you can try. And it's, it's kind of up to you how exactly you want to do it. But what I would like to do is get the peppers into this. Now, one thing, when you're handling chilies, be careful, wash your hands afterwards, or try not to touch them at all.
Do you want chopsticks so you can put it in a chopstick?
I'm going to use chopsticks to put them in there, that way I don't have to touch them. Now, in case you're wondering, yes, this is an entire chili. Seeds, stem, everything. And I'm putting it right in. See, here's the stem. And I'm not worried about it. And yes, I do know how to use chopsticks. Does this surprise anybody?
Now, I did wash this, but basically I just gave it a good rinsing. I did scrub it because it is my way, and so now I have a little capsaicin tingle on my hands, but hey.
Oh, yeah, you're probably going to want to do something about that. Yep, every seed goes in there. It doesn't look like much, but habaneros are powerful stuff, so that's why I'm not that concerned. Now I'm going to pour my must over that and see where it ends up. I do have a pretty good amount of aeration already. That's why I like this method, because it just like automatically aerates everything. See if I can do this without spilling. We're also aerating by pouring again, because it's going through air. See all that foam and bubbles forming up in there? That's perfect. We want that. Now, are you required to do this in a jug first or a pitcher first and put it in a fermenter? Of course not. You can do it however you like. This is just how I started doing it today, like 2 hours ago, and just I kind of like it.
All right, so my suggestion is to put some more water in here because I saw some honey.
Oh, is there honey? Oh, yeah, there's still some residue in there. So go ahead and dump that sucker in there.
The whole
All of
thing?
it. Yeah. There's room for 2 cups. And we'll just mix that up. Get all the foam off the sides. If you can break up the foam, that's helpful because you can fill it a little bit more that way, or it won't blow out through your airlock when you're done. I'm going to pour this in. Probably going to use all of it. How greedy do I want to be? Oh, it's so close to all of it. Yep. We do's it. There we go. I decided to be greedy. What I mean by that is, normally I don't go quite that far up, but I also know that there's more things going into this later because you might have noticed there's no mango in here yet. That's going to be in part 2 of this video series. This is just the getting started part. But normally I wouldn't go quite so high, but I know since I have to rack this, I'm going to lose some, and I'll put it into a wide mouth fermenter with the mango. I want to keep as much product as I possibly can. So that's where we're at right now. Next, yeast. For this one, I decided let's go with the old standby, something that we know works on almost everything, makes really good meads all the time. And
71 Beast.
She beat me to it. But before I do that, I actually want to take a reading on this. Make sure that we have it where I think we have it. All right. For the time being, I'm calling this the syringe of sampling. But I'm actually open to suggestions if anybody has a really good idea what they'd like to call it.
I have concerns.
Hey, you know what? We do have the nasty word filter going, so if somebody gets too crazy. But I don't know. I'm open to suggestion because I want this to have a name. Like we had the Master Baster. I thought that was hysterical. And now we don't have that anymore because we actually still have it, but it just makes a mess. So this, I can literally just get that tubing in there and pull back. And the trick is you pull back really, really slow. This is a 100 ml syringe. Ta-da! Then I take the tubing, make sure no drips, put it in here, have my lovely partner here hold that for me, and then slowly squeeze again to fill it up. Because for primary, it's not so critical to not get air in there, but after we're doing our second readings and final readings, we want to make sure that there's no oxygen getting in there. And once you're floating, stick that back in there, squirt the rest in. I just think this is a little more fun than the Master Baster. That's my real reason behind it. Makes me feel more mad scientist-y.
You get it?
I got it. All right, so let's see where we're at here. Oh, not bad. I'm actually pretty happy with that. I'm going to actually go with 1.085. It's literally right between the 4 and the 5. So 1.085 original gravity. Respectable. Nothing wrong with that. And I'm just going to dump the rest of this right back in here.
And now it's time to take some notes.
By notes, she means what I do is I write down what the brew is, which this is a mango habanero mead. I put the date. Today is May 28th, 2021. And I put my original starting gravity, which is 1.085. And then I list my ingredients, which so far is an amount of honey. Now, how much honey did we use? I'm guessing somewhere in the 2 to 2.5 pound range. And here's where I arrive at that. 35 points or 0.035 specific gravity per pound in a gallon of must, right? We have about a gallon of must. So it's going to be about 35 points. Times 2 is 70. This is 1.085. That's 15. That's almost half of 35. Close to it. So I'm going to go with like 2.4 pounds. I'm even going to put 2.4 pounds on here. So that gives us a rough idea. So those of you following along at home, if you want to actually recreate this, I'd use 2.4 pounds of honey. But remember, honeys do vary a little bit. And if you don't get exactly the same amount of liquid, your gravity could be a little bit different. But I would say anything in the 1075 to almost an 1100 range is perfectly acceptable for this kind of meat. All right, so now that we have our reading and this is all good to go, now we can add our yeast. Now, I, in the past, have always said, I'm frugal about yeast and things like that. Well, some of our yeasts, we're starting to have quite a collection that's building up, and I don't like them sitting around that long. So I'm starting to use whole packets again. You don't have to. You can totally use a half packet on this. My rule used to be up to 3 gallons, use half packet. Over 3 gallons, use a whole, and at 3 gallons exactly, use whatever you want. But I'm starting to see the wisdom in using a whole packet too. Things are starting up a little quicker. The fermentation seem a little bit stronger. So I'm going back and adjusting my opinion on that because it is still opinion. We don't really have a fact as to that works better, but it seems to be a causality of using more yeast.
That might be an interesting test, actually, is doing the exact same brew, the exact same yeast, half packet in one and a full packet in the other.
Almost as if we may have set that up intentionally. Anyway, so I'm going to pour in the whole packet of yeast. But yeah, that is something we should do. We definitely should do that test. Because I'm actually curious. We did the yeast hulls versus nothing and found that, in all honesty, they really didn't do a whole lot. They might have started it up just a little faster, but in the end, it was the same result. But we have actually seen, and this is something else that is more or less our observation of a few dozen brews, they tend to come out a little cloudy when we used yeast hulls, and they were clearer when we didn't. So that's kind of interesting too. Not saying that 100% cause, but it seemed to be more prevalent when we used yeast hulls. Okay, now what I want to do is just shake this up a little bit. So I'm going to use a solid stopper, stick it in there, and just give this a quick mix. You don't have to go super crazy because it's mixed already. I want to get a little bit more oxygen in there if I can. Oh, it's heavier this way. Obviously, if you're doing 3 gallons or 5 gallons, you would just scale this recipe up, which would mean you might not want more habaneros, and you're probably going to use the drill with the whip on the end to mix this. There's about no way, well, I mean, some people can, I'm sure, but it's probably not a lot of fun, unless you really like that kind of workout. All right, so all that's left is to stick an airlock and a bung in this. Let it sit to the side for probably just a few hours, and we'll be back to show you what it looks like at that point once it starts actually doing its thing. So it's been like half an hour, and it's already going. And yes, we have a visitor with us today. She's only allowed in because this is a closed fermenter now. We don't allow the cats around when fermenters are open for obvious reasons like hair, because they have it and like to shed, and it flies everywhere. But take her look at the camera and say hi. Or ignore it completely. But anyway, yeah, this is already started up, and she's going to make this really difficult, isn't she?
Yep.
Let's take a look inside.
So you can see the bubbling in the airlock. It's foaming a little bit up top. That's normal, no big. It's not too aggressive, so we're not too worried about it. As you go down, you see we still have a nice foam layer at the top, and the little yeasties are floating up and floating down.
It's not super active yet.
Yeah, it's mildly active. We know
it's not really doing the lava lamp thing. It looks more like Jell-O.
But
it's just kind of stuck. There's
enough activity that we're certain that our yeasts are alive.
So this started at a 1.085. It's probably going to take, I would say, a few weeks to come to full dryness. And at that point, we'll have the second part in this series where we add the mango part of the mango habanero mead.
And something else.
Yes, something else to be disclosed at a later date.
If you like this video, look up. There's another one you might like equally as well.